back at all-time highs, a half a point away from all-time highs, 22,799.
I think we are at the fresh record high. Because the earlier high was 22,794. So we are now inching towards that 22,800 mark, a 1,000-point rally in a matter of what, 10 days?
And counting. The timing of which right now is amazing. We are at 12. Usually these kind of levels when are hit during the midday, the second half of the session, the momentum continues. That is the main point we have to address right now. And if you look at the index gainers, if I could just ask the producer to find index gainers and plot it, you will see bulk of it is L&T, bulk of it is big private sector banks. One is getting a sense, Anisha, that perhaps there is a major short covering from the institutional side. Remember we did that analysis of 13-year high shorts in the FIIs.
Yes.
Because the composition, small cap, mid cap index is not rallying in the same breath. It's the large cap which are leading.
Yeah, small cap actually has been underperforming for a while, though mid cap index has been at record high. But just to tell you which are the big contributors, so L&T is contributing 30 points, Axis Bank 27, ICICI, Reliance and Infosys. These are the big names which are actually contributing the highest to the gains right now. What's plaguing is the likes of Sun Pharma, Power Grid, Hindalco, etc. So not really those momentum stocks, but clearly today in terms of the sectoral calls, it's the PSU banking space which is firing away. So Bank of Baroda, Union Bank and all of these banking names, of course, on back of the RBI dividend as well, which means that the yields have gone lower, the bond prices have shot up, and which means there could be that treasury M2M coming in for a lot of these names as well. Private banking names, Axis Bank, a 4% rally coming in on that one, and no incremental news flow to back it as such. So that 4% move purely is on account of the kind of market dynamics we have at play. IT2 has been underperforming, but finally it's coming out. Mr. Sanjeev Bhasin is joining us. Mr. Bhasin, you had been telling us that we're likely to hit that all-time high mark soon. That's exactly how it's played out. What next, sir? Ab kya hone wala hai aage?
Well, congratulations, Anisha. You got it right and we got it right on ET. I think 23,000 is very much in sight before the election. There is a huge left out feeling and people want to participate. And NVIDIA's numbers have reignited the tech phase, and I think all guns are firing. Bank Nifty is leading, and I think now it's the turn of HDFC Bank and Wipro to perform for us to go to that 23,000 mark.
Excellent. What a call, Sanjeev ji. I must congratulate you. You have been cautious on the market for almost 1.5 months. And then when the fall actually came to 21,800, you quickly changed your stance and you did start saying that time is right to build positions. And here we are, a 1,000-point rally and counting. So what are your top 3-4 picks from here on? Going into election, which set would rally faster in your view?
Yes, Ajay, for once I got it perfect. I told you at 22,800 to sell for 1,000 points. Then at 21,800, I said the global rally and the advent of good results is going to drive us. And touch wood, we've come back to 22,800. Now, I think that it is large cap. So I am very bullish on HDFC Bank. I think HDFC Bank is headed back to 1,600. Wipro is going to be my dark horse large cap pay. You know, now Wipro has realized that the strength lies within their ranks. And I think whatever I've been saying on Microsoft, that is going to take place. And last but not least, my two favorites, India Bull Real Estate, which has just got capital infusion from their QIP, which means 4,000 crore is on the card. And Embassy is now going to be, it's the flagship company for Embassy. And last but not least, Idea Vodafone. I think this stock is headed to 22. You've gone through a phase where I think now the AB Capital Group, AB Capital, AB FRL, Idea, Ultratech, Grasim, that whole group is going to be re-rated. So these 3-4 stocks are my top pick. HDFC, Wipro in large caps, Idea Vodafone and India Bull Real Estate in the mid cap.
Point taken, Mr. Bhasin, but Nikunj is also with us in the studio. Nikunj, I think we had been calling that, of course, FII selling has been on the side which is close to the bottom. The longs is something which is now getting increased. Shorts were getting covered, and exactly how it's played out. So we're staring at 22,800, but the question now everybody's asking, and what Mr. Bhasin was saying, when do we see that 25,000 is the next, parking space for us or the markets?
Okay, now all-time high, the ring is always nice, right? Yeah. I mean, all-time high, just say it again.
All-time highs.
The ring is always nice, right? You always enjoy it. Now, mathematically, when you look back and you would say, this is just a number and it was a great day to track markets. But you have to understand that what has changed in the last 10 days and what will change in the near term. What has changed in last 15 days is this entire view which the markets took versus what they're taking now in terms of what the election verdict is. See, the only problem for the market in last 10-15 days was and is FI selling, which is a function of what view they've taken on emerging markets and which is a view what FIs have taken on election cycle. From first phase to second phase to third phase to fourth phase to fifth phase, the political commentary by political commentators seems to be endorsing what markets want to hear, which is that there is going to be continuity of the government and they will come back with a majority. That narrative was not such a strong narrative at the end of the second phase, and that made market nervous, and now that is reversing, which is leading to a bout of short covering. That's part one of the story. Part two of the story is that while we may like to look at apps, in Indian markets in isolation, let's not lose sight of what's happening in the world. The world is also at an all-time high. So you're not unique, you're not special. We like to think you're unique, you're special, but the fact is that you're catching up with what the global trends are. NASDAQ all-time high, S&P all-time high, European indices all-time high, Japan not far away from its all-time high. I think it touched a new high a couple of weeks ago. So you have a very strong drift which is there towards global markets. Within that, you had a local event which created some degree of nervousness. Then your market cap $5 trillion. Then your level of participation. So now the market positioning is such that the nervousness, the anxiety, the anxiousness is over. Now markets are approaching the event, which is an important event, 4th of June event, with not feather-light positions, with fairly high degree of commitment, and with an assumption that whatever you will here get on the political front is something what markets are prepared for.
But what after June 4th, Nikunj? Do you think it will mark the top and then it will be sideways again? Any thoughts there?
See, there is a good old saying on the stock market that you buy the rumor and sell the news. Now, what is the rumor in this case? Or what is the belief?
That the government is going to come back.
The current setup of continuity does not change. So if you bought stocks with that view, saying that, okay, I'm playing for the election, then maybe closer to election, a day on the election, a week after the election, this market may just top out in specific pockets, specific corporate groups, specific themes. It may just top out. Interestingly, I've never seen such a bipolar market. For the longest time, I've been tracking election cycles. FI shorts, DI long. So one end of the market is excited, another end of the market is deeply hedged or is very cautious. If markets like what they want to see, the long haul guys, which is typically FIs who count in terms of years, they will say 3-5 saal ke liye wapas aate hain. What will you buy for 3-5 years? Large caps. That's where the comfort is. So you actually could have a reverse, which is that the obvious beneficiary may peak out, and the indirect beneficiaries, which you never thought would be the ones which would be direct beneficiaries, may actually start coming back.
Talking of beneficiaries, names like Adani Group stocks also 5-6% higher. Not that I'm saying they are direct beneficiaries. Market sense.
See, there are some obvious pockets where you know that markets continuity is something which will not change the pulse. That is the obvious trade. That is the easy trade. It may extend itself, but your scope of making money on that obvious trade is less now. That obvious trade we spoke about 10 days ago. That was the obvious trade which you should have bought when we say the last hurrah in the market is not over. Now is the inobvious part. The inobvious part is that where there is short positions in the market and where there is scope for greater delta if flows come back. And that I see in the large cap stocks which are FI dominated. I could be absolutely wrong. I'm purely putting facts on the table, and facts are pointing to the fact that the obvious trades may peak out, then obvious trades is where you will actually see greater amount of elevation.
In fact, Kunal is here. Kunal and you did an analysis together, I remember on the wall just a couple of days back, that there could be a spring kind of a thing which can play out in the market because of the FI short being elevated. How do you see data now, Kunal?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting data which we discussed that the quantum of shorts which we have seen is unprecedented, something which we've not seen over the last 10-12 years. And the only pocket of underperformance which was actually a hub for more short positions being built up was the large cap names. And over the last couple of days, we've seen the signs that the large cap stocks are trying to make a comeback one by one gradually. So Reliance started moving up higher. Today you've seen the private sector banking lot, which has been an underperforming sector, that's moving up higher. So I strongly believe that the short covering has not yet started, and we've come back to the new high on the index, and this is almost at a point when the India VIX is almost at 21, 22. So let's not forget that also, because coming at a point when the India VIX is 22, the confidence would probably shoot up much more higher post the events when the India VIX starts to cool off significantly. So I think that's another advantage for the markets, and I think that's where one should probably try to ride.
Okay, point taken. So that's the view coming in as far as our market is concerned. But Mr. Bhasin, would you buy that argument? Banks, IT, which was the place of FII under ownership, these are the ones which are going to rally the most from here on?
Yes. And Anisha, another piece of advice. The day the results come and the positive and the FIs break loose to buy for the next 3 days, in those 72 hours, sell all what you have. All the good news is in the price, then wait for the budget. When the dumb money again exits, then you get in. So when the dumb money sells, you should buy. When the dumb money buys, you should be sellers. This is a market which is going on the intelligence of the retail investor, and the retail investor is where the real, who's putting his money where his mouth is. The rest is all big talk and humdrum. This is a market where the FIs will come to cover and buy longs when we hit, the uncertainty on the election. That is a good time to book your profit. In the meantime, buy the large caps. HDFC, Wipro are going to outperform. There is valuation comfort and there is underlying asset, inclusion because of their heavy weight. They are going to lead from the front, and like I told you, India Bull Real Estate and Vodafone for me are doublers. And look at a stock like Apollo Tyre, which I think is now on the poise of going to new highs very, very soon.
Right. All right, Sanjeev, thanks very much for that, Kunal and Nikunj. And look at that. It's building upon that from after crossing that level as well. Now, mid-cap, small caps are also 822, 824. So that was my point, that whether it just hits or scales back or continues from there on. But we'll also get you a quick take on the point which Nikunj was alluding to, and that is regular intervals in the last 1 month. Mr. Modi, Amit Shah and many of the other cabinet ministers have been kind of talking about how street will eventually come to terms with the victory which is going ahead, they are expecting, and the volatility subside, and that is exactly how it's playing out.
आप देखिए 10 साल पहले शेयर बाजार कहां था और आज कहां है। आज देश के लाखों लाख छोटे छोटे निवेशक बाजार से जुड़े हैं। दुनिया के 4th लार्जेस्ट स्टॉक मार्केट पर देश दुनिया का भरोसा बढ़ता जा रहा है। मैं पूरा हिंदुस्तान घूम के आया हूं और मैं विश्वास से कहता हूं, इस बार के चुनाव नतीजे पुराने सारे रिकॉर्ड तोड़ने वाले हैं।
Stability of government is the first criteria for markets to be efficient. Stability of government, stability of policy, particularly of taxation policy. Most investors who come to visit India today are keen to see where their money can be placed or parked. India's financial markets have far exceeded everybody's expectations in the recent past.
It's very clear where the election is going. The exact number people may have a debate. In democracy, they should be debating it also. But I'm very sure as round after round takes place, markets will be less and less volatile, because the markets will see exactly what those numbers, or will get a sense of, where those numbers will end up. And I'm very confident those numbers will end up very, very good for us.
When you look at the stock market, it's a stock market which is booming. Okay. Now, what you're looking at is a 1 week period. After June 4th, my message is India is where the action is now. And after June 4th, there will be even more enthusiasm about India.